SG Reads.
Hello fellow travelers, my name is SG and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be going over the last half, or last third, of the Slenderman analog horror series, or the operator in this situation, the Marble Hornets online web series. Now I did have a lot of fun watching it. It did take me a little longer than I thought it would, but for the most part I think it was worth it. I do want to talk about it and what my theories are for the ending, because it left it very open while at the same time leaving about something more to come along the way. And there is something more coming along the way, but I will save that for another video another day. Now, as for right now, as we continue, please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate it. I'll leave a link to where we left off before down in the comment section and in the description. If you like my content, like I said, please subscribe. Go check out the original creators. Please do support them, and leave in the comment section your own theories about what the ending means, what's happening in the overall story, and where we go from here. Thanks again for watching, and let's get started, shall we? Alright, now a brief rundown of what's happening in the storyline so far. The last time we saw, turns out Tim was masking this whole time, and now Jay has had that full realization. He's going to go find Tim to see if he can get more information out of him along the way. Along the way, he gets more tapes, hinting that there is a bigger storyline behind all this. We are finally going back to where this all started with the original haunting of Alex. But what we don't know about this whole situation is that Alex himself had been distancing himself from everybody in the group since the filming of Marble Hornets had stopped, leaving only little breadcrumbs of what the major storyline is, and even Jay kind of realizing that things aren't exactly as they seem for the most part. He has contacted Jay as of recently, but only in an effort to get rid of the tapes, hoping that somebody else would throw them away. As far as we know, there does seem to be more about the overall story and what's wrong with Alex at the very beginning later on in the series. But for now, Jay seems to want to contact everybody that he can to see if they have any information about the Marble Hornets movies and what happened shortly after. When he goes into an abandoned building that was given to him by Tim in a dress, they do find that there was medical information about Tim having these nightmares since he was small, even resulting in several fires along the way and making him completely sick, allowing him to have more of a mental institution along the way, all the way up to his teen years. And once he was a teen, with the medication given him, he managed to calm down. Now, from that, we don't really know what else happened to him after that. But at this point, we do know that he did make it to college, where he did make a friend who he considered his first and only friend, Brian, into the whole mix. Brian then introduced him to Alex, which started this whole film progress. And then we met Jay as going through the film as well, pretty much landing us where we are now. So, with Tim now being under speculation, Jay goes to confront him. And Tim, having researched the Marble Hornets project, found the YouTube channel and confronted Jay about it, saying that he had been suffering weird blackouts as of recently. Blackouts he hasn't had since he was a kid. Now that these blackouts have happened and that stuff's gone missing in his house, he looked up this thing that Jay was doing, realizing that it wasn't a small independent film, more of a research project that he was looking for Alex. Frustrated and angered by this whole, I guess you could say, betrayal on Jay's end, they go out to find what Alex is doing, what's been happening, and of course get his medical records back. After some period of time of Jay figuring it out, realizing that this may in fact all be his fault, saying that he has incited whatever this creature was that followed him, also known as the operator. Now, we don't really know why this has happened to him. All we know is that it's been following him since he was a kid. So for right now, they just want to find out why the operator's hunting him, what's Alex's whole role in this, and what's Jessica, Brian, and Amy's whole position as well. It seems that those are the three that have gone missing. Now, for the most part, we do know that Jessica was taken along by Hoodie and Masky at some point and left in the woods to deal with the Slenderman herself, before completely vanishing. As for Amy, we still have no idea, other than we know that Alex may have hurt her somewhere down the line. Alex seems to have gone completely off the reservoir. It seems he's completely lost his mind at this point. They don't really know where he's at, hiding out in abandoned buildings, being haunted and or hunted by the operator and Hoodie and Masky. But for the most part, we do know that he is looking for both Jay and Tim, thinking that they're the two last parts in this whole scenario, saying that they are the reasons he's becoming like this. Mainly because when Jay started poking around, the operator started haunting him again. And this all started when they allowed Tim into the whole independent project from the very beginning of it all. So now, not only are they running from the operator, they seem to be running from Alex, who's on a vendetta against them as well. We do know that they are attacked by Alex at the very end of the day, with the Slenderman, aka the operator, watching from a distance, mainly being an observer in this whole outcome. This becomes more of a series where Alex is blaming Tim and Jay for the unfortunate circumstances that have befallen him up to this point, leading to a climax at the very end back at the university, where we do know that Alex had went to and caused a quick flood in the video project room, if you will. We end with them having a fight between Jay and Alex. Well, not Jay and Alex. Jay and Alex does end abruptly when Alex does shoot him in the shoulder. It's more between Tim and Alex, with Alex feeling that it was Tim's fault for bringing him into this situation, and Tim feeling that it was Alex's fault for aggravating it in the very beginning. But at the very end, they both lose in the scenario. And ending it on a very odd note. A note that I do want to talk about and make its own point. Like I said, this isn't all just an abridged version of the main story. If you want to go check it out yourself, please do go. The reason I'm summing it up like this is because there's just so much information, so many videos, and so many things I have to talk about that I have to save it for another video. I'm going to save for an overview of the Marble Hornets series coming out next week. But anyway, let's talk about our secondary channel, shall we? Now, all of you who've followed the Marble Hornets, or even just my series on the Marble Hornets, you do know there is a second channel called To the Ark. We don't know much about it, just that it may be one of the Hoodie and Masky characters, but at the very end of this series, we do kind of realize that it might be Hoodie himself, using images from Alex's original Marble Hornets series, or video, and as a way to psychologically torment the audience and or viewer of this, aka Jay, Tim, and of course Alex, who is also viewing this as well. To the Ark was never really revealed at the very end of this video. We get an idea of who it might be, but we don't really know that for a fact, which is, again, I'm going to talk about in a minute. But my main point is, what is To the Ark's purpose? Why is it doing what it's doing? And that is to either wake up somebody from this delusion they're having. Hence, we get this constant reminder of wake up, wake up. And of course, to taunt and tell them through the Slenderman's words that they're all just chasing each other for no odd reason other than to chase each other. There really is no point or purpose for them to fight one another other than the amusement of the operator himself. Hence, we hear the song in one of the very last videos called Three Blind Mice, which is about three mice looking for the person who took off their tail. So for the most part, we can say that it is to mock Tim, Jay, and Alex in their effort to kind of stop the Slenderman. But in that whole regard, they're not really trying to stop the Slenderman or the operator. They're more of just infighting with each other. Now, one of the biggest mysteries we have in this series is who is Hoodie. There are several hints that it's Brian. Brian has been mentioned since the very early of the series, saying that he was one of the original ones that first seen the operator, aka Slenderman. But for the most part, we don't really know that for a fact, other than the idea that he was wearing the same hoodie at the very audition of the Marble Hornets movie at the very beginning. So, that does give some leeway to suggest that Hoodie is Brian. But, I'm going to go off and say that Alex does not believe that. He believes that it was Tim that got rid of Brian at the very beginning of all this, before it all started. So, if that's true, who is Hoodie? Well, it's quite obvious, isn't it? It's Amy. And then we got two different people suggesting that two people were gotten rid of at the very end of this whole matter. That being Alex thinks that Tim got rid of Brian, but Tim believes Alex got rid of Amy, suggesting that one of these people is not seeing the same thing. And we do know that we didn't exactly catch the recording of Alex getting rid of Amy, but we did get one of Tim getting rid of Brian. So, with that being the outlier, I would have to say that it is Amy who has been the hoodie character since the beginning, because it was really her going missing that we really started on this journey for Alex. Even so far as to contact Jay and find out what the operator is really up to, or finding out who he really is at the very end of the day. Now, several of you will realize that there is a lot of distortion in the video, especially towards the last 2 or 3. We do get this idea that time and dimension is not really cooperating with Tim and Alex. It seems to even be collapsing on itself. There does seem to be a bigger storyline going on. For the most part, we don't really focus on that. We focus on more of the complex relationship between Alex, Tim, and Jay, having them not only be victims of the operator, but of one another. Mainly because they don't trust each other. Mainly because they don't really know how to go about this or how to stop it. But we do know that these distortions, once they meet and are at high emotion, do seem to be happening more frequently. We do know that they are happening at different points in different times, suggesting that there is something bigger going on in Rosswood. There is something far more grander than this. The Slenderman himself does seem to be some sort of bigger cosmic entity. Much more than just a skinny guy in the woods, it seems that he is an antagonist. He is a monster in its purest form that just wants each of these people to go against each other at the very end of the day, and is even willing to bend the very laws of physics and reality, and even their own mental state to make it happen. We don't really know the extent of all this because there's not really that much information given, but from what we can see, and not that it's just clips given upon clips, that this is all happening in real time, that there is something far grander happening, and the operator is the main orchestrator of it all, with Alex and Tim being the main players in this whole game. Now, the biggest thing I want to talk about is that ending. It does seem to end rather abruptly, doesn't it? With just Tim, Jessica, and even Jay ending up surviving this whole ordeal. It doesn't feel like it. It feels more like I guess you could call it a flashback more than anything. Mainly because in the last video we do see that Tim doesn't survive his encounter with Alex, nor does Jay. This does show that this is a bigger gap missing in the storyline. We do know that this can't be a flashback, mainly because Jay is in fact getting help at this point with his disorder against the Slenderman getting the medication, along with Jessica not really knowing who Tim is, period. So, what does that mean? We don't really know. It means that they did get away, they survived this encounter, and that they are living with the idea that they are the survivors of the operator. They are going to keep his, presence to themselves as much as they can, while trying to protect their own minds from him as well. And we do see at the very end that it's not really working out that way. We do see that Tim is still losing it. And I would even go on a bet saying that he himself may still be under the influence of the masky outfit, despite him throwing away the mask at the very beginning of the video. So for the most part, we can pretty much assume that the operator, aka Slenderman, is still a thing. Jay is still haunted, along with Jessica being the one that seems to be getting off easier. In fact, we don't really know what Jessica has been doing at this whole point. That's a whole separate story on its own that we might need to look into later on. But for right now, what we do know is that it does seem that the operator's influence is still alive and well within them and is trying to get out still. So that leaves us with one last thing to talk about. Now, the main question for the whole series as a whole is, what was the point of it all? What was the purpose? We're often told in To the Ark's videos that there is a purpose, that somebody needs to awaken to it. And that, of course, has to be Tim. Tim is the one that is being looked for, is what I would say. But we do know that even before Tim was the main character towards the very end, this symbolism of being woken up with Jay, even when Maskey was around. So for the most part, we can assume that Tim was not the intended target. It was Alex. Alex was always the one who was the intended target. Mainly because it used Jay's kind of want to know what happened, his looking into tapes, and even trying to figure out what happened to him overall, to find Alex. That was in fact what this 80% of the series was about. Finding Alex and getting the answers they need to solve the mystery of the operator. But that seems to be the ploy that the operator was giving. They want the operator to wake up. He is the cause of all this. He is the aggressor. He is the one that is supposed to be the one that's kind of the main character in this whole story. Why? We don't know. It might be hidden in the code. It might be hidden in the URLs. But for the most part, we can assume that Alex was the main target of the operator, using Jay as a tool in this whole situation to kind of look for him, find him, and turn him into this creature. We do know that Hoodie and Maskey were already in the clutches of the operator themselves along the way, and they really didn't have to be that far influenced from him. All they need to do is be left alone to be into the influence of the operator. It's Alex who is our main character in this scenario. That's the reason why they took Amy. It's the reason why they got to the film. But why is he the purpose? Why is he the one that they're all after? We don't really know. It cut off before we could know why that is. Maybe it's because he was the one that saw it right after Tim showed up. Maybe it's because Alex is supposed to fulfill this one scenario that we can't really see for right now. But for now, we're going to have to leave it at that until I get to the overview next week. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I did enjoy the series overall. I do think it's very fun. I do think that there does have to be something bigger going on here, period. While I will have to look into it, look at the outer sources, such as interviews, such as other videos that talking about the theories along the way, I do have an idea and will put it in full implementation next time. For right now, this is just me getting my thoughts out on the videos I just saw and kind of giving a brief synopsis of the series as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. Please support the original creator. I'll leave a link down below where we started and where the last one left off, as I said before. And thanks again for watching, and hope to see you guys next time. Have a good one.